Car prices are near all-time highs, and yet sales are rising, and that's mainly thanks to the rich. 8 months into 2025, the share of new cars costing more than $50,000 is almost double what it was 6 years ago. And it's not just because automakers are charging more across the board. It's because the share of vehicles at the highest prices has grown.
Reality is, the automakers are in the business to make money. And this market, because of higher income households buying a greater percentage of the vehicles, has shifted to the upper end. Like it or not, that's the reality if you look at the numbers.
While dealer profits were up 20% in Q2 2025, economists are concerned. A lot of Americans are struggling to pay bills and get loans. Meanwhile, companies are growing ever more reliant on a smaller share of consumers for sales.
If that bubble bursts, that has pretty dramatic implications across the economy because so many companies have become so focused on catering to the demand of those high-end consumers.
We either need a much more viable, lower cost alternative, or something needs to happen in the financial markets that really loosens the ability for those buyers to purchase.
CNBC dove in to understand why the rich are propping up the new car market and what it says about the U.S. economy.
All right, so one of the things that I noticed, and I've been starting to get into finances more on a macro and a microeconomics level with economists, man. And I don't have anything against them personally, right? But I've always noticed that whether or not there's more spending from the lower half of the income threshold, or whether or not now, as they're talking about, is shifting to the higher class income. Listen, it's always doom and gloom with most economists, right? I think that the market, and it has shown over decades and decades, I'm talking about 25, 30, 40, 50 years, that there's always a correction, whether or not it's the housing market, the job market, the automotive market, whatever the case may be, right? So I don't think there's nothing wrong with high income people purchasing more expensive vehicles. It doesn't make sense and it doesn't register. When they're talking about, and I'm gonna play a little bit more, but when they're talking about in terms of how it affects the wider economics and people not being able to afford their expenses, for lack of a better phrase, whether or not that's housing, automotive, credit cards, it's a twofold problem. Most people have a spending problem, not an earning problem.